Hey guys, so Nala and I are going to instruct you guys how to coordinate our pelvic floor lifting and lowering with our breath. So this is an exercise called pelvic floor activations, PFA for short. You're going to see that in your programming in the core recovery plan, or if you're working with me one-on-one. There are two different types of PFAs that we're going to go through. There's a PFA Slow and there's a PFA Fast, and I'm going to go over both of them in this video because they are relatively similar. Okay, so with the PFA Slow, that is when we are coordinating the lifting and the lowering with our breathing, and it's really important that we strengthen the pelvic floor muscles, because if you think about it, like, the pelvic floor essentially is like the floor of our core. It is the sling of muscles at the base of our core, and it's really important to strengthen it, one, for childbirth, because the pelvic floor is taxed heavily when you're pregnant, and then also when you give birth, regardless of whether you do vaginal or you have a C-section, the pelvic floor still goes through the trauma of giving birth. So it's really important to strengthen that, so that way it can help support the growing belly and the baby, but then also it's equally important to strengthen it after you give birth because of the trauma that it goes through. And it's important for anyone to work on this as well. You don't just need to work on it if you've had a baby, because it's just like any other muscle of the body. And so the lifting is important because that's strengthening it, but also the lengthening portion, the relaxing, is just as important, because that relaxing and lengthening movement is what your pelvic floor essentially does if you give a vaginal birth. So it's really important to be able to take the pelvic floor through the full range of motion, because just like any other muscle, we want to work it in its full range of motion. Okay, so to do a PFA Slow, which is when we are going to be coordinating it with our breath, I want you to get into a comfortable position. It's actually going to be easiest if you can straddle like your chair or couch, just for like the frame of this video. I'm not going to stay in a straddle position, but like if you can get like this, it's going to just kind of help ground you and help you to really engage the pelvic floor muscle. But I want you to get in a comfortable seated position. Okay, remember, make sure that we have neutral alignment. And what we're going to do is, in order to coordinate our pelvic floor with our breath, what you're going to do is, when you inhale and expand into the ribs, your pelvic floor, it's going to be in the relaxed state, okay? And then when you exhale, breathe out, that's when the navel draws in, and you're going to think about drawing the pelvic floor in and up, okay? So we're going to do one breath cycle together. So hands can come onto the bottom of the ribs, okay? And you're going to breathe in through the nose, expand the belly and the ribs, relax the pelvic floor, and then sharp exhale through pursed lips. All right, exhaust all your air. I want you to think about, as you're drawing the navel in, as you're exhaling, and the TVA is contracting and tightening, you're also lifting the pelvic floor. So you are engaging all 4 points. Remember, stopping the flow of urine, stopping yourself from passing gas, and thinking about drawing those your sit bones together, lifting it up, contract, and that's what's happening as you are exhaling. So we're going to do one more. So hands come around those ribs. All right, so let's take a nice big inhale. Breathe into those ribs, the sides, the back. Your belly's going to naturally expand, and you're going to relax the pelvic floor. And then a nice big exhale. Breathe out through pursed lips. Good. And navel is drawing in, and pelvic floor is lifting. Okay, so that is something that you can practice on your own. It's called a PFA Slow, where you're coordinating the pelvic floor, lifting and lowering with the inhale and the exhale. And then a PFA Fast is simply lifting and lowering the pelvic floor, not in conjunction with your breath. So you're just breathing normally, and you're just lifting and lowering the pelvic floor. Okay, so you can practice this, take a couple seconds to do that, but you're just breathing normally and you lift, lower, lift, lower. So it's a little bit quicker than the nice big inhale and the exhale, and again, you're breathing normally. It is not tied in with your breath, and it's important to practice both because they both target different muscle fibers, okay? So in your programming, you are also going to see both, and you can refer to this video at any point if you need a quick little refresher on what a PFA slow and what a PFA fast is. But to reiterate why it is important to take the pelvic floor through the full range of motion is because just like any other muscle that we're working, say for example, my biceps, I want to work my arms, okay? It's important to take the biceps through the full range of motion of the contraction, all right, and then the relaxing. So you're also going to be pairing your breath work with your exercises as well. So you're going to be contracting, breathe out, so exhale on the harder portion of the movement, the curl, and then breathe in as you relax, okay? So we're not going to get too in depth in this video, but just something to think about. Like, for example, with those curls, you're taking it through the full range of motion, because if I were to just do like little pulses like this, like that's not really going to benefit my arms and my biceps, right? So that's why it's just as important to work the pelvic floor muscles like any other muscle through the full range of motion, the full lifting and the full lowering. So this is the tutorial on the PFA fast and the PFA slows.